What's going on, guys? Brandon here. Just want to go over a couple trade recaps and maybe some of the stuff I'm watching for tomorrow. Today's the 8th, it's Monday, and tomorrow's October 9th, Tuesday. Check out the SPY right now. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. A little messy, you see lots of cool trend lines. I'm working on a trend line system that'll be hopefully teaching here quite shortly. It's a little unorthodox and hasn't really taught much, but I found a lot of great things coming from this trendline system that I can't wait to come out with, and doing a lot of back testing. So doing a ton of work and putting a lot of time into this, and I can't wait to show a lot of this stuff to you guys here. So had the sell-off here Monday, easy peasy call for me. I had the trend line set forward at open there at the cross, a couple fails, and figured it was going to come down. Set some resistances today, and I figured the SPY wasn't down, or it wasn't done going down. Still had some room to go down, right? So I had said that pre-market that this thing isn't quite done. It did have major sell-offs here, breaking out of channel, coming down, but it just didn't look like it wasn't done, to me. So we did get some lows set in today in the SPY. That's why Facebook and AMD were my two biggest plays today. We're just going to take a recap at Facebook here. I think I had like 900 shares traded on Facebook today. It was a short chase out the gate. The VWAP fail here for a scalp was the first play. Came up, had an indecision candle here, kind of started getting red, so I jumped in. Risk was going to be here at support 155.91. Just took a small scalp. 150 shares, I think, to start, something like that was it was. Getting about 80 cents out of it, I think it was, something close to that, but wasn't a bad scalp. Then everything just kind of started bouncing on the SPY, so something to watch out for. I was hoping for more of a dip right away, but had a big pullback up. Had resistance trend lines in my orange here, so I had been watching that for the retracement to that all day, right? So I just took it from yesterday's last high there under VWAP. If you do match the orange lines up on the 4-hour, we're going to get a ton of interaction points back here, this being the most important one at that 158, about 16 level. Lots of chop, but lots of split red body there, split red body, support, big wick bounces there. That was the point I picked for the resistance. Worked out pretty decent today. I got short full position at 158.08 was my entry right here. The first big dip down to here was the first 50 cents, so I covered half on the 50 cents, and I let 150 shares ride. Ended up getting all the way down to around the VWAP here, had the double top, covered another 100 shares down here. Wanted to lock in that extra point, had another whole point on it. We're up about 340 or so down here, and then covered a piece of it on the way down right here at the support, because I didn't quite know what was going to happen down here. Obviously at the sell-off, was thinking about swinging it short. The thing you wanted to watch out for was this gray trend line. This is a 4-hour light trend line here that I have for under overs. Every time we're coming up here and you see a break in the upside here, it had a very healthy move to the upside, recovered the 200, and so you could have took that on the retrace to prove strength. So as it came up this morning on the 1 minute here, broke through this gray line, came back down, tested the gray line pretty much right here and the 200, and that was an easy long play for a nice move. But same goes for the downside, right? So as it came down today, cracked through here, and I kind of covered up down here because I didn't know if we were going to get some bounce from opening wick support here and some other pre-market levels. So I was all out of there. I was planning on swinging it, but I got a little busy and I didn't want to hold the position through the day when I wasn't able to get on the phone here. Had a nice reversal. If you notice again the 4-hour trendline system that I've been back testing and working on teaching, you can see the interaction here for the reversal, the short interaction here, and then another long action move right here. Very, very simple. One trend line, 3 huge plays today. It just wasn't, it's pretty cookie cutter. Facebook is a great trade today. AMD, this sucker took forever today. This was holding through a lot of pain here. This yellow trend line is a layover trend line from previous days within the last 3. Got short on AMD to scalp off the 200 here. Got out right away just for scalps. I don't like to play too heavy in the first half hour there till 9, until it starts setting a trend. I did get in a little early up here short for the fail of the trend line. So when it did pop through, I just kind of held through the banks. I started a very small position here. It wasn't really, it was like I think 400 shares or something like that. So it wasn't really anything super bad, and just came down, looped. Just had a really weird look to it. Just didn't look like it had any strength. You know, it was like a ton of volume. You can see depleting through 9, and I was like, let's leave it. So left it on. Ended up creating a lower high here, kind of topping out with the bodies, and it cracked. This is opening dash price, something we always pay attention to, and of course added in short on that break, and had some really nice ride on this short today too. It was a pretty good payday. On AMD, again, I missed a super big move to the downside because I used my support line here to see some bounce, but I ended up being able to capitalize, I think, a little over a point and some change here from the initial entry and add. So I think it was somewhere like a point and something, just under, a little 96 cents on it, but it was a pretty sizable position after I did the add in. So AMD was a great trade today as well. I want to go over Amazon real quick in the morning here. Did some calls here, just used a pre-market layover trend line for some support after it started gathering here on this teal guys, the 100, and started holding the 9, broke above the 200. I started taking my position again on my lower layover trend lines here. Took some calls, had a push up, did cover some calls, came back down, kind of tested that trend. It didn't break down back through our trend line that we had here, so it was still bullish. Recovered the 50 and the 200 here, and then I ended up getting all out in the 1893 calls. Didn't get to trade it for the rest of the day, just kind of seen it, but it's funny if you were to take my special trend line here and kind of extend that throughout the day. I only played it in the morning, so I didn't end up extending it or using it, but it's funny if you just take a peek there. You kind of see the trend on the break line. These trend lines are very, very potent. They're very, very awesome. Can't wait to make a whole teachable course on them. So, well, what I'm going to look for tomorrow, we'll go over a couple things after the recap there. Facebook did have a good retrace, but it did kind of shy away from resistance. But the most important thing is that it held the opening price at 157 as a whole number and the 200 EMA. So going to the 4-hour here and taking a peek, we might have finally some reversal time on here, because this gray trend line was the downward trend I kept shorting off of. So every time it kind of failed that gray trend line, I kind of got in short and kind of swung that. Was thinking about taking a short swing, but obviously reacted to the upside off the gray trend line and had a very big body open of it. You see there's no rejection. This thing was a full recovery. So tomorrow, let's see what the open looks like, but this thing looks like it's going to be opening strong. 157 is going to be the number, which happens to be today's open price on Monday. And see what that does in the morning. See what holds up. See that might be childization chop, but I think this thing might run after 157.50. Yeah, 157.50. So we're going to see what it does after previous day highs right here. I want to see it kind of just chop, consolidate, hold 157. It may come down a little bit, as far as maybe 156.50, another point or so, but I expect Facebook to kind of come back up if we can start hugging this resistance real tight and creating higher lows towards it and start breaking over 157.50 and then holding that and continuing over this early 158.20s area. In Facebook, I'll be looking for that. AMD, I'm going to just use this magic yellow trend line that I got here, and I'm going to roll it over the next day. Here's our gray rejection one. We kind of shied it today. Didn't even expect AMD to get all the way back up here into my resistance trend lines, but it didn't happen to make that run. So they held true today and definitely had some good plays off it. So I'm just going to watch how it reacts to it as it gets up here tomorrow. So I'll have more pre-market for you guys on AMD. Apple was one that I was hoping to catch long today for bounce. Ended up having a big sell-off, and I kind of just took it off out of my mind and didn't look it off. But I think the daily here is showing some decent signs of a bounce. It had 2 buyer candles. We are setting up hopefully for a bounce here. It had a really nice support bounce. You can see this red candle, and this red candle kind of had that bounce at support on the wicks. Looking real good. Kind of shied this one a little bit, but still looking pretty decent. I'd like to see this thing start to cup if I were to draw these out. As far as some 4-hour ones to check, maybe just looking pretty strong. And I'll explain kind of how the system works to the elites that come in, and what I'm going to be teaching and how we're going to be using these trend lines. And the colors and etc. etc. Right now I don't have the time and the audacity. We'll see how it goes, but we're gonna see how it holds up with this trend, because after it kind of held there through the 4-hour Monday morning here, kind of bounced it, came back down, kind of broke through but tested it, and then kind of recovering it. So I'm gonna look for some pullbacks here to start getting long on Apple and hopefully have a nice bounce coming up here for Tuesday. The 4 hours lining up real nice with this orange trend line, and how I draw them, the daily is starting to line up pretty nice with them. So we're going to see where Apple goes tomorrow. It's all dependent on the market, right? And the way the market's looking right now, it's interesting times. Last time I did this break through the 9 and all the way down to the 50, we had a bunch of under 50 fails and kind of pinballed in between the 100 and the 50, and came back up. So we're kind of in the same kind of chop consolidation here on the bottom side of it that it did right here. So after it had all this indecisiveness, came down 100 tests, had a bounce, consolidation, bounce, broke out. I got the same kind of feel right now. In the 289 area. So as it created this lower high, took a bunch of puts on this actually for a swing, which was decent, a little risky. Didn't really want to get it bought up off this channel, but worked out. Don't want to call that one in chat. I didn't really want a bunch of people chasing that one. It could have been dangerous, but now that it is here, I'm going to look for a pop on this buy, and if it doesn't hold the 50 and just kind of pops up to these orange trend lines and starts failing again, I'm going to get a dictated trend on this and be able to tell you more about it coming up here this week, and I'll probably call some nice swings, hopefully, since I got some determination to the downside now here. So if it does hold this consolidation and what it wants to do at 286, it's going to have to decide this 286 and 289 level, and we just have all this chop and this consolidation that hopefully will loop back up and look something like its prior engagement with that consolidation between the 50 and the 100 and 50 and 100. EMAs are getting much more extended this time, so my guess is going to be it's going to start. I know people might be looking at this as a dip buy opportunity. I can't get on board with that this time, unfortunately. Some of the times before, when it was so close, when the EMAs weren't real split and it had just nice pops over them and pinball in between them, we got some range this time. So the EMA's got to catch up with themselves, and I think it's going to come back down, but we'll see. Market does what the market wants, right? So I'm going to play off my trend lines here and see what we got for the next day. One thing I did want to go over, I think it was Roku. Yeah, that's what it was, Roku. Yeah, I got that written down here. My friend asked me if I was going to trade Roku, and I was like, I don't know. Didn't really mark the trend lines for it, and really wanted to focus on my Facebook AMD trades because I had a lot of lines marked up here. But again, you can see it's a perfect doji day, and the way we play these doji days is mark out every level of the prior day doji, right? And this is like a perfect doji, and we marked out the highs, the lows, and of the extremes, and then the body high and lows. And off those levels alone, just the highs and lows of those dojis, the upper body, lower body, and upper lower wicks, you could have had some very nice plays, and I always play them under over. So Roku, I just would have these 4 lines on it right here. I probably would have had a trend line from a layover trend line from this last high red, and probably would have gave it about there and sliced through its remainder red after hours, and we would have gave ourselves some interaction points to work off of for confirmation. And you can easily see here when we started filling the lower side of the body, it was a definite easy short, right? So my clicker fingers all jacked up, but using the lower body of the wick here, I don't know, it's pretty easy read. I should have paid attention to this. A little mad at myself, but pre-market dashes here came up to about that pre-market level, and after hours consolidation dashes you've seen here, and about the top, and you could have shorted it anywhere under this weakness here and just risked breaking 66.97, so you had very limited risk on that short, and had a break under the 2, came back up, had that little pop to the 200, and then ultimately came back, failed the yellow trend line, the magic layover trend line that we used from the day before. I'll also be teaching you how to set that up so you can see interaction points here, interaction points here, interaction points here. I mean, they're just so amazing. I love this trend line system. Even tells you when the reversal's happening. It's nice. So that's what I got for you guys today. We'll see you guys in the morning and go over pre-market analysis at 8. Thanks.